the fierce dinosaur was trapped inside his cage of ice. Although it was cold, he was happy in there. It was, after all, his cage. Then, along came a lovely other dinosaur. The lovely other dinosaur melted the dinosaur's cage with kind words and loving thoughts. I like this dinosaur, thought the lovely other dinosaur. Although he is fierce, he is also tender, and he is funny. He is also quite clever, though I will not tell him this for now. I like this lovely other dinosaur, thought the dinosaur. She is beautiful, and she is different, and she smells so nice. She is also a free spirit, which is a quality I very much admire in a dinosaur.
Hazel's going to speak later. I'm sure when Hazel does, she'll be able to tell you all the exact circumstances in which we met, probably what I was wearing, probably Hazel was wearing, the music that was playing, all the rest of it. In truth, I don't really remember. It's long ago, and I was, I think, far too wrapped up in myself, far too self-absorbed to really notice anyone or anything around me. But I do quite like not knowing. I like there being no cut-off point in my memory from a time before Hazel and to a time after Hazel. I think Hazel was always there in the periphery, a figure that was just slowly coming into view. And without me noticing, she has come to define so much for me. Thank you all so much for joining Hazel and I to celebrate our special day. I think, in a sense, I've been writing this speech for years now, to be honest. But in a much truer sense, I've been writing it for a couple of days. One thing that I feel quite strongly is the notion that all of us as individuals are a product of the people that we come in touch with, the experiences that we share with those that we love, and the memories of the people that we've known in our brief time living. And I think that's just a very kind of slightly pretentious way of saying, it takes a village to make a person, and I think it takes a village to bring two people together as well. I mean, it's bloody taken a village to pull this wedding off. Hazel and I have known each other for 10 years. It's been 10 years, almost to the day that we started university. And when I think about the sullen, self-absorbed 19-year-old that I think I probably was at the time, I think we all owe Hazel a debt of gratitude for transforming me into what I am today. And in that time, I think I found out so much about you from such an early stage. And I found that despite our differences, despite our background, we are so similar in outlook. It's extraordinary when I think about it to think of these two very, very different kids from wildly different countries coming together and finding that we had so much the same in convictions, beliefs and hopes. I think a lot of this is to do with our families. Our families are more similar than you might think. But there's one thing that I think is unique to the O'Briens, and it's a very, very specific brand of generosity. And no one, I think, embodied this better than Hazel's dad, Michael. He was a man who found strength through kindness, not through hardness, as a lot of men do. And I think that's something that I will take with me as I enter this life together with Hazel.
I'm here, Hazel's paternal uncle, Uncle Tommy, or as she always called me, Tommy Uncle, for some reason. Hazel and Bertie asked me about 18 months ago, and I was well chuffed to be asked to participate. Hazel, I have obviously known for her lifetime. She was a late arrival to the O'Brien family and was and is much loved by her older siblings. She was slightly intimidating. I don't know exactly how to put it. She was one of those children that had that gaze where they've got your measure and you feel like a fraud. That was Hazel. Fast forward to the teenage years. Siobhan and I went to Dublin to see the Rocky Horror Picture Show, in which Hazel was a star. I sat beside her father, who was very emotional. For him, she was the only one on stage.
My dad. My dad was my best friend in the whole world. He was funny and clever and a complete wind-up merchant. But he had a heart of absolute gold. There's lots of memories that I could share of he and I, but I wanted to share one specific one now of shortly before he passed away, when we took a car journey together to walk the dog. On our way home, we talked about you. I was 21. It wasn't really like Dad to get very sentimental. But he asked me then, do you really love him? And I said yes. And he said, but does he look after you? And I said yes. And he nodded. And I think that was his way of knowing that if he had to go, he was leaving me in the safest hands. And I think if he was here today, he would be so proud to see the life that we've built together.
Oh.
To the father of the bride.
To the father of the bride.
Well done.
Thank you.
My beautiful wife. At first glance, I think our relationship is a world of contradictions. Let's take, for example, a lanky, sullen teenager. Purpose of the example, we'll make him shy, a little aloof. We'll give him maybe a bit too much ego, make him a bit full of himself, give him a bit of anxiety, because doesn't everyone love that? And we'll make him a little bit posh as well, I think that'll work. So let's just take everything that contradicts that. Let's take another teenager. Let's take a girl this time. Let's then make this one open and generous with an innate capacity for kindness. Let's give this one no airs or graces. Let's make this one less insufferably aware of themselves. Let's make this one equally as intelligent, but much more forgiving. Let's give this one the ability to speak to anyone regardless of their backgrounds on their own level. Let's make this one just a little bit on the short side as well, just for added contrast. But let's not say that these two things are a contradiction. Let's add them together. And in doing that, in supplementing them, let's betray the notion that they were never whole or finished to begin with.
You are the most patient, accepting, kind and loving man that I have ever met. Thank you for loving me exactly as I am. Thank you for making me laugh every day, even though most people wouldn't get the jokes. And somehow we've developed our own language. Thank you for always making me feel safe. No matter where I am with you, I'm up.
Surprise and groove, everyone.
So, my little brother Bertie.
Aww.
I think for some of you who maybe haven't known Bertie for very long, You may have been taken by surprise by how eloquent and erudite he is, as we saw from that speech earlier. Not nearly as surprised as those of us who have known him for much longer. Bertie spent most of his childhood living entirely inside of his own head, only deigning to occasionally grace the real world with his presence. One could be having a perfectly normal conversation with a lucid Bertie, and then a switch would flick in his brain, and suddenly he's thinking about the Roman Empire, or Vikings, or he's reliving the latest fantasy book he's read, and his eyes would glaze over and he'd be gone. Incidentally, Bertie, I know what you're like, and I actually brought something for you just in case you get bored halfway through. It's Horrible Histories, the Rotten Rodents. His favourite. There you go. A lot has been spoken about the generosity of the O'Briens, and funnily enough, I was trying to think of what words I could sum up Hazel with, and generous was the first word that came to my mind. You know, you are such a generous person, and you're so benevolent, kind, and you have an effervescence that boosts any Heppel family gathering, and I consider myself extremely fortunate to call you my new And finally, Bertie, I'm very proud to call you my brother. And I'm very, very proud to be standing here and helping you both celebrate this wonderful day. Yeah.
With some of the meals, so I'm just being totally throughout the kitchen to talk to the catering staff.
Thank you for welcoming me into your family. For both of you, your generosity is measureless. You know how much you mean to us both. You are the twin pillars that hold up so many people in this room, and we love you so much.
And also to making sure that I was a well-adjusted enough individual to get married in the first place. The O'Briens have always shown me such generosity, and no one more than Hazel's mum June, who welcomed me in and showed me just such a deep generosity from the very day that we met.
You have always been our constant supporter and our biggest cheerleader for all of us and for Bertie and I. I've said it before, and you and Dad always set a really wonderful example of a really loving, fun, healthy marriage, and I think that we could not have been richer if we tried.
Now the dinosaur and the lovely other dinosaur are old. Look at them. Together they stand on a hill, telling each other stories and feeling the warmth of the sun on their backs. And that, my friends, is how it is with love. Let us all be dinosaurs, and lovely other dinosaurs, together, for the sun is warm, and today the world is a beautiful place.